So last night I had dinner with my pal Brian Anderson. I mean, Brian, I consider him a good friend, and I think he is one of the smartest conservatives I know. I think he's one of the smartest guys I know. And what really got me about this is we were sitting there, and basically we were looking at one another saying, is nobody actually paying attention to the actual stuff that's happening in the Trump administration? Is it just you and me? Because I feel that there's this anger, this absolute volcano of anger exploding over everything, and nobody's really looking at what is really happening. People talk about Trump being a fascist. What has he done to violate the rules of American governance? People talk about him being anti-black. What has he done to harm black people, anti-gay? What has he done to harm gay people? All these things, that's from the left, but on the right too, there's this idea he's destroying the party, he's doing all this. And Brian said, and what got me about this is that Brian was agreeing with me, and like I said, he's a smart guy. He's not just, a barefoot teller of tales. He's an actual intelligent human being. He's the guy, he's the editor of City Journal, this magazine that I write for sometimes, and he is, a really brilliant guy. And he said to me, there are three headlines that tell it all. Three headlines that really tell people what they should be paying attention to. And the first is from The Guardian. Now, before I read this from The Guardian, I just want to play something that Jim Mattis, the Secretary of Defense, said in May, okay? This is what he said in, I think it was April or May, after Trump gave him his marching orders against ISIS.
Two significant changes resulted from President Trump's review of our findings. First, he delegated authority to the right level to aggressively and in a timely manner move against enemy vulnerabilities. Secondly, he directed a tactical shift from shoving ISIS out of seized locations in an attrition fight to surrounding the enemy and their strongholds so we can annihilate ISIS.
Okay, so that's back in the spring. Here's a headline from the left-wing British newspaper, The Guardian. Rise and fall of ISIS. Its dream of a caliphate is over, so what now? And the fact of the caliphate, the idea that they had property, they had an Islamic state, that, as they called themselves, that was their big selling point. Trump, by delegating the authority to the generals, the places where the authority should be in these matters, annihilated him. That is an achievement of the Trump administration. And you can't say, oh, it wasn't him. Of course it wasn't him. It was the guy he gave the orders to. Second headline, Kim Strassel, and I read this on the air when it came out, but Brian was just pointing this out, Scalia's all the way down. Mr. Trump, this is Kim Strassel in the Wall Street Journal, Mr. Trump has now nominated nearly 60 judges, filling more vacancies than Barack Obama did in his entire first year. There are another 160 court openings allowing Mr. Trump to flip or further consolidate conservative majorities on the circuit courts that have the final say on 99% of federal legal disputes. And unlike the Bush administration, where they tried to come up with compromises that wouldn't get shot down, this president is stocking the court with a class of brilliant young textualists bearing little relation to even their Reagan or Bush predecessors. That is Scalia's, guys like Scalia, who read the Constitution to mean what it means. Finally, the third headline, and this one is a big one, even though I know it's boring to a lot of people, is Time magazine cover, The Wrecking Crew. Trump's cabinet is dismantling government as we know it. I mean, and this is really an important point. And I think that the fact that the EPA can no longer come into your home and declare your toilet a major waterway so you can't go to the bathroom without the government's permission, that is a big deal in this administration. All of that could go away if Trump himself loses the office, or if he loses enough majorities in Congress. So we're looking at, the right wing, who is celebrating Trump's discomfiture at the election results, last night, is making a big mistake, because this is the most conservative administration that has been in place since Ronald Reagan. It just is. It may be more conservative than Ronald Reagan in some ways, and that's something that I think that the right should, think about a little bit, especially the intellectual right that's picking on him so much.